The Business of Biotech is produced by Life Science Connect and its community of learning, solving, and sourcing resources for biopharma decision makers. If you're working on biologics process development and manufacturing challenges, you need to swing by bioprocessonline.com. If you're trying to stay ahead of the cell or gene therapy curve, visit cellandgene.com. When it's time to map out your clinical course, let clinicalleader.com help. And if optimizing outsourcing decisions is what you're after, check out outsourcepharma.com. We're Life Science Connect, and we're here to help. Dr. Romain Micol is co-founder, president, CEO, and director at Combined Therapeutics, and his academic accolades read like alphabet soup. MD, MPH, PhD, MBA, LLM, and we'll throw in ADVAC just for good measure. I'm Matt Pillar. This is the Business of Biotech, and on today's episode, we're getting to know Romain a bit, follow his biotech odyssey, and we'll learn about the work he's doing to lead Combined Therapeutics through the white-hot mRNA vaccine and therapeutic space. Dr. Micol, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Hello, Matt. Thank you very much. It's nice to speak with you today. Thank you again.
Oh, it's great to speak with you too. And I make this sort of joke about your academic accolades reading like alphabet soup, but it's a joke that I mean in a good-hearted manner. I tell my kids all the time, Romain. I tell them all the time, academic achievement and accolades equate to optionality. You know, like they give you optionality further down the road in life. So I'm curious. I want to start there because I'm curious about like whether you were whether you considered yourself a degree and accolade collector, or if you were looking for or if you were looking for optionality, or if there was a method to your your I guess your academic strategy.
Yeah, I think there is certainly some strategy in that academic, but I'm passionate, and I guess I started with my medical degree and specialization in infectious diseases, and I think the PhD bring you a lot of serious in terms of science when you want to manage a biotech company. And yes, and the optionality to learn about finance during the MBA is also a great tool to raise capital and manage also safely your company with different finance and planning tool. And I think a degree that was very, very nice and helped me a lot to manage Combined Therapeutics. It was the LLM at the London School of Economics to better understand intellectual property. It's a very, very interesting area to learn when you want to manage a business in the biotech field. Yeah,
for sure. I'm curious about the transition from academia and practicing medicine to the business side of biotechnology. What was your first foray into, like you said, that LLM degree, benefited the MBA, sort of set you up in some ways from an academic perspective for biotech business leadership. What was the, I guess, motivation to move away from academia and practicing medicine into the business side?
Yeah, so I had a transition in a pharma company to learn about pharma company and how to participate to R&D program, and then integrating the business development unit of that company, and that and the transition I made was particularly also to learn working at the international level, and I had the opportunity to learn to work and learn from different countries such as USA, India, and China, and then I think I got really the passion and the entrepreneurship to develop my own companies with a particularly very great co-founders.
What was the hardest part about that transition, moving from, sort of an academic approach to medicine to the business part?
Well, I think the hardest part was really to stop practicing medicine and seeing patients, because that's something I love. But it's a second life, new new challenges, and that's very exciting too.
Yeah. Yeah. What were some of the things, like, for if you were going to advise people who are sort of in that same position, right? Like transitioning from academic careers or practicing careers into the business side, what advice would you give them in terms of making that adaptation?
One of the, from my view and my personal view, one of the most important advice would be to keep your passion, to keep your wish to bring to the patient better treatment, to improve their quality of life. And that's something that drive my personal development when I was practicing in hospital. And I kept that same goal in terms of achievement for others when I started Combined Therapeutics, is to bring to population a better vaccine, to bring to cancer patients better immunotherapy to treat their cancer. And that's what has driven my excitation to start a new business.
Yeah.
And I think when you keep as the main objective to bring better medicines to the patient, to the population, you always federate investors and key people to work with you.
Yeah, it's and I'm going to ask you some questions about the formation of Combined here in just a minute. But one more stop on your career journey that I want to dig into a little bit. Like I said from the outset, like I wondered if this, this unique mix of degrees was strategic. Another stop on your career journey that I wonder if it was strategic was while you were at Transgene. You were there from 2010 to 2015, and you made the move from international scientific program manager to director of business development. And when you look at that, I mean, when you look at that on paper, you're like, wow, that's quite a switch. So tell me about why you made that move into biz dev and how it helped you.
That's I mean, it was a very great opportunity from the company, and for me, that the company gave me to transition from a scientific and R&D position to a BD marketing activities and position. But it was very, very helpful for me to understand how, for my future business, by the way, how the R&D transition to a BD, to a product development, because that's not the same, absolutely not the same work. And that's not the same challenges. So it was very, very exciting to transition from science to the marketing and the business. And that experience was very important for me to better start Combined Therapeutics in 2016.
Yeah, I can only imagine that when you started Combined Therapeutics, coming into it with sort of that whole-brained approach is an advantage. I think there are a lot of scientific founders who may lack some of that, market-facing kind of business experience. So I can see where that would be advantageous. So maybe the takeaway is for the scientific listeners among our audience to consider a BD role, at least for a little while, to gain that experience.
Yes, absolutely. That's very powerful.
Yeah. All right. So Combined, tell us the origin story. How did you come to co-found this company with Robert Langer and Dan Anderson back in 2016?
Yeah. So the story of Combined Therapeutics in 2016 was to potentially, because it was really a vision at that time, without any scientific proof of concept, to offer potentially to the patient some therapeutic mRNA that will enhance, I don't want to enter too much in the scientific detail, but that will enhance some viral therapy. Viral therapy is like a virus that attacks the tumor. And we, at that time, we were hoping to develop therapeutic mRNA to enhance the virus that will attack the cancer, to have better viral therapy and immunotherapy products to treat cancer patients. That's the story of combined therapeutics. And we achieved in 2019 great proof of concept. And then the company, because that's the business also of any biotech company, to potentially evolve and change their objectives. I decided as CEO of Combined Therapeutics to apply what we learned from virotherapy and cancer to potentially develop better mRNA vaccine. And then the company has changed. The board has been got some new board member, and we decided to launch an activity around mRNA vaccine. And what we learned, sorry, I'm repeating myself, what we learned from the cancer treatment for virotherapy, oncolytic virus, has been applied, a similar approach to the vaccine. It's totally two different worlds, and there is no connection. But when you success in one domain, and particularly in an emerging biotech, and you believe that your team will accomplish a similar level of success in another field that is completely booming, and that's the mRNA vaccine in 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic, you have to try when you are CEO. And it's what we tried at Combined Therapeutics, and the team has successfully developed a new generation of mRNA vaccine for infectious disease and for cancer. And we are now moving from preclinical development to clinical development next year.
Yeah, but just to clarify, I want to make sure that I'm tracking correctly here. Your mRNA work began pre-COVID pandemic, correct?
Yeah, pre-COVID pandemic.
Pre-COVID pandemic.
Treat cancer with immunotherapy. Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of startup companies that jumped on the mRNA bandwagon post-COVID pandemic for obvious reasons that we don't need to get into. So, throwing your mind back in time, pre-COVID pandemic, give us a little more light, shed a little more light on why at that time before. I mean, obviously, we know mRNA therapeutics and vaccines were in development for a long time before the pandemic, and that just really shone a bright spotlight on that space. But why was mRNA your platform of choice at that time, even before it began to prove itself in a meaningful way in the COVID era?
So why we chose the mRNA platform in 2016? That's your question.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You simplified you simplified my question, but that's the heart of it. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we know that nucleic acid therapies are a very versatile platform, and a lot of companies since a few decades try to work on DNA. But DNA technology has some main challenge in terms of manufacturing stability. And in terms also on potential integration in your genome. So some companies in the early 20s and then in 2010 with Moderna, BioNTech, Translate Bio has developed the mRNA and has applied the knowledge the scientist has developed on DNA to the mRNA with the particularity of the mRNA, of course. And the reason is mRNA are much more easier to produce, and it's changed everything. And secondly, in terms of integration to your genome, there is much less risk with mRNA compared to DNA. So for safety, efficacy, manufacturing purpose, the mRNA in terms of in the umbrella of nucleic acid therapy was really the technology very attractive to develop, and that technology can also answer cancer treatment and vaccine. So it has a huge versatility, and that's the reason I think the mRNA technology is a huge success today. even there is room for improvement, as always, in medicine. That's a great technology.
Therapies based on messenger RNA offer many manufacturing advantages over traditional biologics, including cost, speed, and flexibility. On the Business of Biotech podcast, we delve into all things related to mRNA manufacturing, from making mRNA vaccines to their scale-up, regulatory approval, and more. The pod is brought to you in collaboration with Cytiva, a global provider of technologies and services that advance and accelerate the development, manufacture, and delivery of therapeutics, including mRNA production and manufacturing. Check out their resources at cytiva.com/emerging biotech. That's CYTIVA.com/emerging biotech. It occurs to me that a company that was playing in this space, doing good work and development in this space prior to the COVID pandemic, and as I said, sort of the onslaught of follow-on companies adopting mRNA as a platform. I mean, there are hundreds now. There are hundreds globally of emerging companies that are working on mRNA therapeutic and vaccine development. So I imagine from your perspective, there had to come a point there where you went, being sort of a veteran in the space, right? Like a company that had been playing in the space for quite some time. There had to come a point where you're like, oh boy, here we go. Here comes the competition. Here comes the crowd. Here comes, and I say competition, not just from a therapeutic standpoint, but from a, fundraising standpoint and from a noise in the marketplace standpoint. So what are your thoughts there? Like when you saw this space balloon the way that it has?
Yeah, I mean, competition is good. I think it's something that push you to develop and to assess your own challenges. So I think it's a good thing to have competition. Yes, I guess in terms of fundraising, it's certainly diluting the potential capacity to raise cash. But at the end of the story, sophisticated investor invest according to the portfolio they have. They try to de-risk, to diversify their portfolio. So when you have the good technology, that means you have generated good science and you have also a strong IP position. It's where some competitor can lose the race.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that. I guess competitive differentiation at Combined. What are you doing to distinguish yourself in this crowd?
So we have developed a unique technology at Combined Therapeutics because a messenger RNA, to simplify the discussion, the messenger RNA is delivered with lipid nanoparticle. And today, what we believe at Combined Therapeutics is the need to develop better vaccine based on an improved biodistribution and also based on an higher potency compared to the current mRNA vaccine, both for infectious disease and cancer. To answer the better biodistribution profile, there is two different approaches. The first one is to work on the excipient. That's the lipid nanoparticle that protect the mRNA. That's a lot of CDMO are trying to optimize or improve their lipid nanoparticle. That's not what we are doing at Combined. At Combined, we are modifying the mRNA to allow the mRNA or to instruct the mRNA to produce the vaccine in some part of the body, and by definition, the muscle at the site of injection, and to inhibit the mRNA translation or the vaccine production in your peripheric organ. So currently, the mRNA vaccine has a broad biodistribution. It's publicly available information, and our technology is focusing purely on the mRNA vaccine part, on the modification of the mRNA sequence. And we have a strong IP position on that technology. It's where we are blocking competitor to enter in that domain of technology.
What does that what does that mean in terms of the delivery vehicle? So are you saying your technology requires no LNP or doesn't require a
No. Our technology require LNP, or our technology, I would say, can be used by any delivery particle.
Okay.
Lipid, polymer, whatever you want to use or to use as a delivery vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you tackling or facing? I mean, you mentioned that, a lot of that is available in the outsourcing community. I mean, just the other day, I interviewed a company that's solely dedicated to the development of delivery vehicles for nucleic acid therapeutics. They're at present. I mean, they've built a company on that, and they don't even have a therapeutic molecule just yet.
Yeah, it's the companies that develop new lipid nanoparticles to improve the biodistribution are not necessary. We are not seeing those companies as competitors of combined therapeutics. They are complementary approach. Yeah. And potentially, if you want to reach almost 99% of biodistribution success, you may want to combine new lipid and a great, more sophisticated mRNA technology. And that's our vision, by the way, at Combined Therapeutics. We are working with our own mRNA technology, but we are also assessing the new lipid generation, because we believe that together they will bring much more safer and with higher efficacy vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How are you doing on time, Dr. Micol? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we can have a last or two last question.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Good. Give us an update if you can on the pipeline effort at Combined. Where are you in terms of your lead candidate and any follow-ons?
Yeah. So absolutely. So we have a pipeline of infectious disease vaccine and cancer vaccine. The good news for the company is we reached 2 months ago a very important milestone in terms of R&D and product development. That's the selection of our lead platform. That means we have selected the mRNA platform that will better biodistribute any vaccine, infectious disease and cancer, and also a molecular adjuvant to improve the potency of the vaccine. So in terms of pipeline, we are very pleased to start the manufacturing of our first lead candidates early next year, between the end of this year and early next year. And we have a pipeline including infectious disease vaccine and cancer vaccine with or without molecular adjuvant to improve their efficacy.
Very good. What as you head into manufacturing there, you mentioned from the outset that mRNA presents some unique manufacturing challenges that your technology seeks to overcome. What challenges remain for you? Like what do you see as potential risk factors in the manufacturing process that still need to be overcome?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think the landscape is changing rapidly. Probably you would ask me the question 2 or 3 years ago, what will be the challenge of the manufacturing? And I may have answered the access to a great CDMO. And currently the CDMO, it's what you can read in different journals. The CDMO are facing a decrease in terms of the demand, because the vaccine, the current mRNA vaccine are less used post-pandemic than during the pandemic. So now I would say the challenge is really to down select with your own risk factors, depending to your company, the best CDMO to manufacture the drug product.
So it's a completely different paradigm in terms of CDMO selection, where a few years ago it was, who's got capacity. We'll take,
Absolutely.
all
3
comers.
years ago, the supply chain was the main risk factor. How to access the lipid, how to manufacture the mRNA. The supply chain of the drug substance, the supply chain of the excipient were probably the main risk factor. Today, it's really, I think, to access to the best CDMO that integrate everything, but it's not the access to the raw material. That's really the risk factor is purely linked, I would say, to the capacity of the CDMO and the company, Combined Therapeutics, to work together and they risk the execution of the program.
Yeah. Any specific attributes of a CDMO that Combined looks for to make sure that you're checking those boxes?
Yeah, so currently we are discussing with a few CDMO because we have started the process of down selection, and I think of course one of the main challenge is to integrate a CDMO that may be able to achieve everything from the manufacturing of the mRNA through putting your vaccine in a vial. Mm-hmm. and controlling everything, I would say, from A to Z, with, of course, the capacity to de-risk if something happened during that process.
Yeah, very good.
Instead of working with 2, 3, 4 different CDMO.
Yeah.
There is pro and cons for the 2 organizations.
What was that?
There is pro and cons for the 2 approaches.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I know you're short on time, Dr. Micol. I'm thankful for the time that you gave us. Super nice talking with you. We'd love to have you back when we have a little bit more time to dig into some of this stuff. But thank you. Thanks for joining us and sharing the update on Combined.
Thank you, Matt. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye. So that's Combined Therapeutics co-founder, president, CEO, and director, Dr. Romain Micol. I'm Matt Pillard. This is the Business of Biotech. We're produced by Bioprocess Online and Life Science Connect with support from Cytiva, which offers a deep trove of resources for new and emerging biotechs at cytiva.com/emerging biotech. Check that out. Check us out at bioprocessonline.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast and its newsletter. In the meantime, thanks for listening.